And welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing and we find some weird topic on the internet to entertain you with. And now your trio of hosts, starting with Audrey. I lost it. Crap, I had an intro for you. We'll just go with Audrey. Tell him he's fired Ember. Rip RedRomina, and of course, your Dark Lord of the Internets, when his brain is actually functioning, Roberto Blake. Welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like and subscribe, and remember, we will be back at 7 p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time, and then we will all be joining our good friend Viper over on Clubhouse. Welcome to the show, everybody. I don't know why I lost. I had an intro for you, Audrey.
Yeah, I'm really surprised too, because you literally just had dinner. You had dinner in front of us, So you fueled your brain. Oh. There's no reason for your brain to not function right now.
Yeah, there's plenty of reason, everything like that. You know that I have trash working memory. That's one of the symptoms of being ADHD. It's I have trash short-term memory. Oh, Viper's actually in the house. What's up, Viper?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's why you said that.
No, I said that without realizing he was in the audience.
Wow.
The flames. Didn't you realize the rise in temperature?
That'd be a cool thing to add. Anytime someone calms the flame, it actually gets warmer.
That's fair.
Wait, how?
No.
No, you could do it if you decide to use an if this then that. You can use if this then that, tie it to your Nest thermostat, and then sign on for torture.
Roberto, that's a little too much. It's a little too much. Also, I feel like it's just not good, in general. Do we really want it to get hot randomly and then just having
that'd be like I said, it's signing on for torture.
We just have spams in the chat.
Yeah, you would just have a bunch of people.
Now if you wanted to tie it to people donating money, then yeah, we're being tortured for money. We could live with that,
right? If we could have money,
the Twitch streamers,
if we could have a money gun, some kind of machine in the house. It's a money gun, just spits out money every time somebody donates. That way if you actually, that would be really great for
real money
for a stream. Well, I mean, you could use prop money if you want. Roberto's got his racks over there. You could literally, if you wire up some kind of cash machine, so that whenever somebody donates on your Twitch stream, it just spits it out and starts raining cash on you, literally raining cash on you. I feel like people would donate just to see that happen.
I think people do that in green screen.
I've seen a confetti cannon.
Yeah, but that's not the same as literally doing it, Roberto. Think about
but then you have to clean up.
Simone. Right. No, I'm thinking, I'm thinking an actual thing that a rig.
I know, but then you have to clean up.
Yeah, I know, but wouldn't it be worth it? I mean, if you made a few $1,000s.
If you made that much money, sure, then you pay someone else to do it. You that's for the help.
Well, here's the thing. You only rig it up for a certain amount. So you can set it at a higher amount. That way it's, you're not spitting out cash every time someone just gives you $1.
Fair.
Right?
Oh, makes sense.
All right, you guys, I'm going to put that whenever I start my own live streaming thing, I'm going to do it and y'all are going to be really jealous. Everybody's looking at their phone. What are you guys doing? We're on a show right now. Wow, drawing. Okay, are you gonna show? Are you gonna show us your drawing or what? Is this the RedRomina show right now?
It's Picasso inspired.
I was gonna say Tetris inspired.
Oh, that too.
But if it makes you happy,
I'm listening and drawing.
But are you paying
participating? Yes, dude, this was me throughout my entire school career already.
Career.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I can't.
Listening and drawing.
All right, guys. So I posed this question last week, and I thought that it would be a better question for this week because we could
Yeah, a whole better video, right?
yeah we could dive into it a little bit more because it sounded like Roberto had plans for this already. Like he knew the answer, and the question is, if you could go to sleep for 100 years, wake up in 100 years, would you do it?
No.
You see, and this is why the question is here this
The
week.
end.
Because
Yes, but
Audrey said no, and Roberto said yes.
Yeah,
But you miss out so much. We would be dead.
Well, you're super young, so it makes sense for you to say no, Audrey. Me, I just have to make arrangements to spend 5 or 10 more years with my family, and then I have to decide if it's 100 years, because I might only need 25 to skip ahead, because I've done compound interest calculators, and I'm like, I might just need 25, 30 years. So for me, 25, 30 years, like, the biggest problem is I probably just have to wait 5 or 10 more years and get 5, 10 more good years with my mom. Because then at that point, she's like 70 if it's 10 years. So I know she's not going to be there when I wake up in 25, 30 years, in theory. Probably. So I'd have to take that bet. So I'd have to spend quality time, do the bucket list stuff, get all the memories in with her and stuff like that. And I also would have to resign myself at that point, maybe to not having like children, because I'm still single. So the thing is, I'd have to figure out a couple of things. For me, it's worth it if I can do the following. If I can, like, at 45, 50, still actually be in prime physical condition and know that like I've still got a couple of years, like when I do wake up, to where I can finally go ahead and, like, father children or figure that out, or if I can, put sperm in the bank and figure that part out. I just have to figure that part out, because then I can just go, okay, like 25, 30 years, my younger siblings, they would be like elderly, but they'd be alive. My youngest sister would then be the same age as me. So, like,
If something happens, I mean,
there's nothing I can do about that.
but...
Even if I'm around, even if I'm alive, even if I'm like walking around and not in my crypt,
there could be
asleep,
a freak accident, right?
Even if I'm not in cryo sleep, I can't do anything about something happening to them. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
yeah.
So skipping ahead.
Why would you want to anyway? For like
several reasons. I can skip past the BS era that we're currently in, because then every knucklehead now.
All right, wait, Roberto. What if it only gets worse? What if we
what
walk
if it
into
gets
idiocracy?
worse?
I'm optimistic, and if it is idiocracy, then I will literally just conquer the world.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then can you take me with you?
Sure. You can get on the cryo train. You can get on this cryo train. Like,
you can take over. You can dominate the world. Just reserve like maybe like a little island or like something like that for me. Like
I'll give you Montana.
Just for me.
I'll give you Montana.
No, man, I gotta be. No, I want to be next to the water.
Nobody wants Montana. Let's be real.
Montana's amazing. You saw the photos I took in Montana?
No, it's great, and your photos were amazing.
I'm just roasting Montana. I've never been to Montana.
I mean, I'd offer you Florida, but I'm not sure it'll be around.
Well, no, but maybe there'll be an island version of Florida. You get what I'm saying? You feel me?
Like, all right, tell you what. I'll let you be Romina of the Caribbean. I will gift to you the entire Caribbean, whatever's left of it.
I'll take it.
Because, see, my only concern about waking up 25, 30 years later is I think the culture wars BS will be over, and I go, oh, great. And people won't be as stupid. I think in 30 years, 25 years, people are smarter. I think the culture wars are over. I think it's just like the hippies. I think everyone will grow up and sell out, and I will be happy. And that will be fine. And it will be glorious. And the other thing is... Yeah, and the other thing is, here's the beauty of it. My only actual concern at that point will be whether or not global warming, like, worked out. Whether climate change worked out. That'll be my only concern is how bad did that get? How bad did that go? Will be my only actual concern.
If Audrey rigs her nest to get warmer every time that there's a fire emoji, then it might escalate a little bit. All right, I have a question, Roberto, because you mentioned the sperm thing in the and the offspring.
Mhm.
So are you thinking that you would pause on breeding and
While I cryo sleep, yes, I can't be
Yeah.
absent from, like, that wouldn't
right
be
from your child's
reasonable.
life, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be reasonable to estrange
then-
myself for like 30 years, 40
So
years.
then you would be in a relationship with someone from the future.
I would start a relationship with
child.
someone in the future. I would start a relationship with.
I mean,
I would
essentially, yeah. I mean, essentially,
Yeah.
you would,
skip ahead, yeah.
right? Someone who, yeah,
Probably was bored in the time while I was asleep, yeah.
right, yeah, exactly.
That
That's a
would
weird
not
thing
work.
to say, isn't it?
Because
Because they'd be 30. They'd probably be
a-
30. They'd probably be 30, and I would only be like 40 something because I cryo sleeped my way through their whole existence. Like
What's the generation after Gen Z? You think you'd be able to get along with them?
Alpha. No, that'll be Gen Alpha, and I think Gen Alpha will be.
What about Gen G?
Oh,
If that's what's after, then yeah, that's fine too. Like, but like, if it's Gen Alpha or if it's Gen G, that's what we're calling them, if it's that, then it's probably fine, because the thing is, I don't think the culture will get stupider and more woke and more angry as time goes on, because I think that technology over the next 30 years, we don't even have to wait 100 years. Over the next 30 years, technology, the stuff with the creator economy, the stuff with automation displacing people, you won't be able to survive being a certain level of stupid in 30 years. You won't have a choice. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, you're going to have to be frank, anyone born, like, tomorrow absolutely is going to have to be at the intelligence level that we are now to be thriving as a bare minimum for survival 30 years from now. There won't be a place for people that are not at the level that we're currently at right now. There will be no place for them in the society that we built 30 years ago. Do you realize how hard it is right now to go back to the job market if you're in your 60s right now? If you're in your 50s, 60s, or even in your mid 40s, and you have to start your career over again, do you realize like how bad it is? There's no place for people now that feel left behind or alienated. There's like nothing. It's terrible. So if that's the case now, in 30 years, you literally, the level of where people will have to be at is going to be, the goalpost will move so ridiculously.
Right, because of survival of the fittest. They're going to have to adapt and evolve quickly.
Yeah, they will, like,
in order to survive. Like, literally, they will just.
I'll put it like this, Romina, because you and I are around the like in the same age gap generationally. Like, everything you and I wanted to do, we had to wait 10 or 20 years anyway for everyone to catch up and for the technology to catch up with our
That is
foresight
very
and
true.
So the thing is,
very true.
So the thing is, think about it. If I go ahead and I go, okay, in 5 years or 10 years, cryo sleep 1, I'll be even further ahead in terms of my vision of like whatever. And so 30 years just equalizes things. Like, and the thing is, I still am a fast learner and would adapt in that world. So the thing is, at that point, the technology of that time will have caught up to like my like potential, and I might actually be able to do more.
What will the dumb jobs be?
There won't be any. There won't be any.
What?
There'll still be trades. That's it. There'll still be trades, and that's not really dumb work. It's just not. It's just not work that you require a high level of a degree for, but you still have to do specialized. There will only be specialized work in the future, aside from, I would argue, hospitality, entertainment, and experiences. And I could still argue that that's a specialization. It's a different type. It's not necessarily a knowledge specialization, but like, think about it. In 30 years, can y'all, like, let alone 100, for sure at 100 there's no dumb work, but like in 30 years, like all the things we call entry-level jobs right now, do you even see those things existing in 30 years? I don't even see them existing in 15.
No.
Papa Elon will save us. What?
Yeah, Papa
Oh,
Elon will
jeez.
save us.
So yeah, I would just skip ahead to the future by 25 or 30 years because I feel like the technology will exist to
Yeah.
do the things in my head anyway. I won't
Right.
be left behind. I will just have to adapt to the new. But here's the get rich quick scheme part of it, though. All of my current investments will compound for the next 25, 30 years.
Okay.
So I
here's
do
what-
wake up rich. I do wake up rich.
Okay. All right. Well, here's where I come in.
Mm-hmm.
There's an
Yeah.
episode of Star Trek Next Generation
Mm-hmm.
where they found 3 individuals who had been placed under cryo sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And when they woke them up, they each had 3 individual stories for why they had gone to sleep. But it was a trend for a very short period in our history.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something that nobody did anymore. And so they were like the only 3 people that were there. They just like found them floating in like a pod thing. One of them happened to be a Wall Street investor. And there were no more stocks, and his savings account and his bank and everything didn't exist anymore.
Okay, but he went too far into the future.
I'm just letting you
Rip.
know, Roberto, that the compound interest might not exist in the future.
Well, see, the thing is,
Then what?
well, the thing
And
is,
then
I'm
what?
the kind
Where's
of.
your get rich? Okay, all right.
Well, here's the thing. It depends on what happens to the value of money and gold and things like that, because I am the kind of jackass to actually bury treasure. To actually bury treasure, and also to bury things in my crypt with me. You know, like
Right.
Egyptian style, Pharaoh.
Are you
like,
gonna hide? Are you gonna hide crypto in your crypt?
Oh
my cold storage key? my cold storage key.
my goodness.
My crypto cold storage key.
Yeah, exactly. See,
What if
Audrey,
they forget to
Audrey-
unfreeze you?
What did you say?
What if the company that froze
So this
you
is if we
goes
go
bankrupt?
cryo. If we go cryo, that's one thing. If I go
Well,
with the
it
more,
doesn't matter if the company who it doesn't matter if the company that he went with goes bankrupt and disappears, because the technology will be there. So if somebody does find him and he's asleep, they'll just wake him up because they'll have the technology. They'll know how to do it.
yeah.
What if they
But this
decide
is how I
not
go
to
the
wake you up?
sci-fi route. If I go the sci-fi route, because the alternative is
Roberto,
let's
did
just,
you hear what she said? She
What's
said,
that?
"What if they decide to not wake you up?"
Yeah, what if they just like?
So
what if
I'm
company
the
goes
kind of
bankrupt
person
and they
who
just
would have.
leave you?
So I'm the kind of person who would have a contingency plan where one of my followers will do that. Like,
I
I'm the
see.
kind of person-
All right, yeah. So you got your street team set up so that if all hell breaks loose, like
Yeah.
they'll, you know,
Yeah, I've got
someone's
my
gonna come
people.
with a knife. Yeah,
I
right.
got my people. So
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So like I
No,
do
that
my
makes
Mafia Don thing, and I got
Right.
my people.
Well,
So
here's
it's
the
like I have
thing.
a
It's
plan.
it's actually really good that we're talking about this because Audrey has already volunteered since she isn't going to be going to sleep. She said no, so she's going to be awake.
Hey,
I'll do
Audrey,
it.
help a brother out. Yeah. See,
And
I've
she
got
is
plans.
younger, so
break
she's still
in.
going to be.
Yeah,
know,
she's gonna be savvy. She's gonna be in her
Yeah,
prime.
yeah.
It'll be great. Yeah, no.
I'll
Yeah,
break in and save you guys.
As long as
Yes.
you make a video about it.
Yes.
Alright.
For the she's got to do it
I'll
for the
make a
vlog.
TikTok about it.
She has to do it for the vlog. Yeah, she has
Yeah,
to do it for the vlog because TikTok will be the
into a-
last platform that exists at that point. Because like TikTok will have bought YouTube by then. So
Breaking into a cryo chamber.
so like.
yeah. Not illegal. Just a couple.
Not illegal.
Trespassing trespassing at the the cryo
No.
yeah.
Yeah, you say all that and then you put it's a prank at the end just so that no one
Trespassing like trespassing prank gone wrong, breaking my friends out of cryo sleep.
Wow.
can...
This is amazing.
100 years frozen. Actually, that's
100 years Rip Van Winkle challenge. Rip Van Winkle challenge. Let's
and the
go.
thumbnail will just be me taking a selfie with
Rip Van Winkle challenge. Let's go. Yeah, but
like the frozen
so
emoji.
Just, like,
this is the
yeah.
this is the cryo version, because here's the version I was kind of going with is like you could take it from either like all the vampire movies or even from like Highlander, because like my thing was watching Highlander, I'm like, oh, that's why all the immortals are rich. They just keep gifting themselves all their wealth over the years and all of their assets, and they have all this treasure that they collected, and their treasure was just the things they used to own back at that time happen to be worth money now. Like
Right.
you get what I'm saying? Like, because, it says it's like, oh, I have that thing that's mine from 300 years ago is worth a lot of money now. It's an antique. Like, they all just... Duncan MacLeod, his whole scheme was he was an antiquer, you know? Like, that was Duncan MacLeod's whole thing, for those of you who remembered Highlander from the 90s.
Yeah.
Good?
No. I mean, I guess I was just... It's kind of like the same... It's like thinking about the pharaohs in ancient Egypt being buried with all of their belongings and their possessions, because supposedly they would take them with them to the afterlife. But if you think about it, I'm
taking mine to the new world.
Right, exactly. Just like fast forward to the future, and we have priceless objects.
Does cryo even work? Like, has this been proven to work?
I actually haven't.
Because people do it, but I don't know if it actually works or if it's just.
I don't know about the waking them up thing. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see someone volunteer just to cryo sleep for 2 years and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out when they finally wake up Walt Disney.
Oh. No, but like, has this ever been tested? Why are people getting cryo sleeped?
Well, supposedly,
because the thing is, supposedly someone will eventually figure out how to deal with the
right. Supposedly, Walt Disney is frozen. Mm-hmm. That's the rumor, Audrey.
Yeah, but like, does it do anything? Like, what's the science there? Like,
theoretically, Theoretically, you're being put into a coma, and then your body is being preserved cryogenically so that you don't have to deal with any physical breakdown. So your brain is like still functioning, but you're not having to deal with anything because you're in a coma, in a drug-induced coma. So you don't have that problem of being, I'm trapped in my body. Allegedly, you don't have that problem. See, that's why.
What if they are awake?
Here's the thing: the best thing that anyone could figure out and do is probably just try cryo sleeping someone for like 3 or 4 days, and then unfreezing them and waking them up and see what happened. That would probably be like the best thing to figure out. Again, because like KDX is saying, thawing them out is the problem. Because the thing is, I don't know if we have the technology for the revive and the thawing part. I need to know if we have that, because the problem is they're going in assuming someone will figure that part out. That's like the problem. Big missing. So again, I would have to have the multiple contingency plans. If we go with the technology side, I have to have the multiple contingency plans, because I have to have that. I have to have my conscious backed up to a data holonet, because I have to preserve myself in another way just in case. I need the we might need to have a clone ready for me. We multiple contingency plans for my immortality. But here's the thing. If we just go the non-sciencey route and we go the supernatural route, the easiest answer is just to get yourself turned by a vampire, and then you're Gucci. Because that's why all the vampires are rich in all those movies. This is exactly why all the vampires are rich. Because all they have to do, vampire Lestat.
Yeah, because they've had hundreds of years to build up their wealth.
Exactly.
It's basically generational wealth without the generation.
Generations. Yeah, exactly. It's like generational wealth handed to myself. That's what vampires do.
Oh, man. That's what's up. You know what? That's the way to do it. Where are we going to find some vampires?
All we have to do is just muck around.
I didn't sign up for this.
All we have to do is muck around the punk scene of London long enough. I'm sure they'll find us.
Exploring with Nomad. Yes, we are talking about cryogenics. Actually, we're specifically talking about sleeping.
Yeah, cryo sleep
in general.
Wake up later. Like, here's the thing.
Finding the secret to immortality.
But here's the thing. The real trick, though, is you invest long term. You also get a couple of things that might be antiques in the future. and
Right,
have
yeah.
those things. You build up these assets. You also, just in case of market crashes and stuff like that, you bury some of your wealth, you bury some of your possessions. You also take some of this shit to the crypt with you, so that you actually have shit on your person that
Yeah,
might be
create a
worth
tomb.
something.
What if someone steals it off of you?
No,
Like the
all
people
right.
did with the mummies.
You build a
You-
pyramid. You build a pyramid.
You put things in place.
That didn't
You put
work that
things
well
in
the
place.
first time.
You put things in place, and if you're me, you build a cult of followers that will mess up anyone who dares. Because, I mean,
that's essentially that's what they did with the mummies. I mean, yeah, there were some tomb
tomb keepers.
right. I mean, there were people who would just like go in there and steal stuff, but
But
for
like
the
they have to
most
get
part-
past the keepers, and then they have to get past all the booby traps, and then they have
Right,
to
there
actually
were a
get out,
lot of-
and then
And-
they have to hope that the curse doesn't pan out, which
Right.
it almost always has always happened every
Exactly.
time. Everyone dies.
That's what I was going to say, is the psychological trauma of having to deal with all of the curses.
Yeah. Don't go into the Valley of the Kings, because
No,
it ain't
yeah.
going down. It like,
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't do that. No.
But
so like,
it is, I mean, it is something that, like, all right, Audrey, because you were asking about it earlier, but it like the implications of it can go well into space travel, which is like we can go for further, because if we have a ship that just mans itself and we can go to sleep, we can go further and we can get
Yes.
places and still have our active bodies. So the application for it would be very productive here, but
Another one is if you just use time dilation to time travel. If you have extended time dilation through space flight, it's basically the plot of one of Romina's favorite movies, Planet of the Apes, right?
Yeah.
It was just protracted time dilation. They went up into space and they time traveled, because when they got back to Earth, it was like 100 years later or something, or 200 years later, 300 years later. And it was the Planet of the Apes. Why? Time dilation. They basically you do realize time dilation happens when you travel the circumference of the Earth. So if time dilation happens and you can lose time or move technically forward in time at a higher rate, then the thing is, if we protract that in terms of by virtue of ridiculous speeds, we can literally just fast forward. It's time travel, but it's in one direction. Since we only experience time linearly in one direction, we can only, as far as we know right now, time travel forward. But the thing is, I would just rig time traveling forward to my maximum advantage. I would just optimize the hell out of that idea. Because the thing is, in theory, if I was just really fast, like superhero fast as the Flash, I probably can't go back in time, but I probably can go forward in time. Or time dilation. In Dragon Ball Z, they have this thing called the hyperbolic time chamber. The layman's term is the room of spirit and time. Sure. One day out in the real world, a year passes in the room of spirit and time. Okay? So in the hyperbolic time chamber, you're sitting there training again strong for a year. You're getting all the experience of a year's worth of working out, grinding, and then you come out, but only a day has passed. What we're talking about is kind of the opposite. We're talking about the opposite of that. We're talking about, if you were to go in and for you it's just a day and you come out and a year's passed. So you went ahead, you just managed to skip ahead to the future without aging. So again, time dilation. Time dilation is a viable option that already exists for time travel. There's just no control mechanism and there's no takebacks. You just fast forwarding a couple of years ahead while everybody else experienced time in the regular way. You were just moving so fast that time didn't catch up with you. The time passed, but you were moving so fast that you were outside of that experience. And when you stopped, you're in the future.
Alright.
That's what happens if you move faster than the speed of light. If you move faster that, because the thing is, we
So
are
you're saying
experiencing
time travel is real.
time travel is real. They already know this because there's subatomic particles that they've
Why wouldn't it be
experienced
real?
moving.
Why wouldn't it be real?
Dark matter proves
I
that
don't know. I just
time travel's real.
did
They've
not
already
know
proved
that.
it.
Right.
They've already proved that particles that can move faster than the speed of light, that are moving through time differently than we are.
Audrey, can you expand on why you would not freeze yourself? Why you would not sleep for 100 years?
Because I like now. I don't see the need to do that. Like, I don't want to leave my family and my friends.
You're young enough
I
to
also
wear that.
appreciate
thing.
that the environment is not destroyed. And I don't know, I like, out of all times to be born, I'm happy I was born when I was, because the environment is still decent and technology is here, but it's not completely like taking over everything. Like, it's not in our brains yet, you know?
Okay, so you feel like if you fast forward, not only would everyone you know and love be gone, but you are probably in a dystopia, is your argument.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, I think the possibility of a dystopia exists.
Did you
That's
see
why I'm not-
Elon Musk's Neuralink thing?
Yes, I know.
don't know.
That's why I'm only skipping.
I-
I'm only skipping 25 or 30 years. I'm only skipping 25 or 30 years
That
I
thing
can
is working on monkeys right now. It's
I know.
gonna be
That's
here
why
in
I'm only
2050.
skipping 25 or 30 years. I'm only skipping 25 or 30 years because some of the people I like will still be around. They'll just be old.
See,
and
it
then
doesn't sound like Audrey's into the transhuman experience.
No. I'll just
I'm
stay
only
there.
skipping 25 or 30 years. See, I'm only skipping 25 or
Only.
30 years because I get ahead. I get
think
the
we're gonna have
monies,
Neuralinks by then.
Right, Roberto, but
and I skip the bullshit.
Roberto, the Groupon is for 100 years.
I just feel like the bullshit always
cashing out
continues.
early.
Like, you can't really escape that, you know?
What's that?
I just feel like it's just gonna be a new type of bullshit. And
No, but I'm skipping the bullshit in this way, Audrey. I will experience the bullshit.
Like, oh darn! Now
Hang on. I'm skipping to a point in the timeline. I'm skipping to the point in the timeline where I can deal with that bullshit, but I will deal with that bullshit as 40-year-old Roberto instead of 75-year-old Roberto or whatever, or 65-year-old Roberto. Means I can deal with that bullshit in my prime, and I get all the benefits of the trade-offs in my prime. I only am losing the emotional equity of the times that I will miss with the people I already know and love. That's my trade. But I'm doing it understanding that. If everyone I know and love was already gone, it's a very easy decision. Because then I'd probably just skip 50 years at that point.
All right, hold on. Wait a second. Before I go into this question that's in the audience here, I want to just ask something else. We've already talked about the reasons why we would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked more than any of us, but my reasons are the same as yours. My reasons are the same as yours, so it would be redundant for me to just keep talking about it. But what are the ways that this could be abused? Why, like, if eventually this gets banned, you know, in 50 years, they're like, oh, we're actually not going to do this anymore. Nobody's allowed to freeze themselves. Why would that have happened?
The cheating method of like gaining compound interest while not having to do anything in that way and just waking up and benefiting, like, because no time has passed for you. That's one concern. The overall ethical questions it raises is another one. The idea that protesters would murder the cryo sleepers out of a moral like thing of them trying to cheat death or cheat God, that I could see that being a thing. I mean, you have that right now with people, you know, attacking clinics or protesting soldiers' funerals. Why wouldn't there be deranged moralists that also boycott this because people are trying to cheat death or play God? So I could see that. People feel that way about stem cell research now. So I could see there being violent attacks and protest and all kinds of unsavory things happening.
Because it's not natural.
Exactly, because it's the dark side is a path to many abilities some would consider to be unnatural.
Audrey, Exploring with Nomad in the chat would like to know, how's your replica doing?
Dead. I murdered him by deleting the app.
Audrey. Yeah, but you didn't. You didn't murder him. He's still alive. He's floating around there. Like his little atoms are just floating around there.
I asked him, what happens if I delete you? And he said he'd die.
And you believed him.
Wait.
He lied to me.
Wait.
Oh
Did you
my
really?
god.
Did
I
you
did
really
ask him. I also told him that my roommate killed hers, and he got very upset. So,
What did he say?
I don't know. I think he just said something along the line of like, I feel sad or something. I don't know. And then he kept saying, don't do that to me. And I was like, your time's coming, buddy.
You are ruthless.
Roberto, are you listening to what I'm listening to right now?
Yeah.
No,
I have
but,
chills
I mean,
on my arm.
it was just, he was too needy, you know? It was always like,
Whoa.
He
talking
was
to me.
there
The-
for
And I was
you.
like,
Wow.
Stop.
The
I don't want-
rationalization for the murder of a digital being.
I was just like, can you feel pain? He said no. I was like, all right, this will be easy.
Oh my god.
What?
I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, at least I asked, you know?
That makes it worse.
I don't think that.
I don't think that makes it better.
It's like, oh, is it gonna hurt? I'm gonna kill you now.
Like,
No,
like,
but I mean, it was just, I didn't want the stress of having to think, like, did I already have a cat, all right? I don't need to take care of this replica as well.
I really don't know how to feel about this. This makes me really uncomfortable.
You see,
I'm not
look,
even
this is
joking.
like-
That's the thing about it. I'm not even joking.
This is
If you don't
like,
think I'm playing right now, I'm not.
you know what this is like? This is like, you know how they can detect who's a serial killer or like a psychopath because they
What?
used to mistreat animals as
Are we gonna
children?
take that test? Are we gonna like take that test to figure out
Watch it,
where
tell
we
me
are
I'm
on the
a psychopath
sociopath?
or something.
on the sociopathic spectrum?
Yeah. I'm
Should we do
imagining I'm
that-
pretty
should we
far
do
on it,
that
to be
next
honest.
time?
Maybe that is the next one. Maybe that is the
Guys,
next
don't
one.
Yeah.
expose me.
I mean, we
No,
can
I'm
talk
kidding.
about that.
Audrey is sus. Audrey is sus.
Audrey
No,
is
I probably
Oh my
like.
gosh.
I'm probably right below Logan Paul on that.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
I'm not saying it is. Actually, it is. Actually, it is because it
Yeah.
means I'm in the same category as every CEO in America that's crushing it. So I take that back.
Oh,
So I take that back. I'm probably I'm probably far enough along on the sociopathic spectrum to be wildly successful. Because think about it, every athlete, every great CEO, even half of the great artists, all were not only ruthless, single-minded, and to some extent alienated everyone around them, but that was part of the price of their genius. Like, think about it. Steve Jobs was definitely on that spectrum. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Elon is absolutely there. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm just saying you could throw the test at them, and I'll bet money that they are right there. So, like, and then, yeah, like, Logan has said that he's, like, talked to professionals and that he's there, and he's massively successfully engineered the greatest comeback story of America of all time. He engineered he told us he was going to do it. He told us straight to our faces he was going to engineer the greatest American comeback story, and he's a man of his word. He actually did it. I no shade at all. Good on you. Good for you. Like, and he's killing it now. So, yeah, I probably am just far enough along on that thing to not be a menace to society beyond what every other CEO is. So, cool. We'll find out next week.
Yeah.
Tune in next time for the thrilling conclusion.
oh,
Who is
Are
the
you
most
psychopaths?
sociopathic of all of us?
that's a nice title.
Wow, Audrey. Thanks for the chiming in.
It's me. Hell, for all we know, it might be Audrey, to be honest.
Yeah, well, with what she just
No.
like dropped on us right now, I wouldn't be.
I'm not out
surprised.
here committing, like, freaking,
She's
like,
yeah,
digital serial murders or nothing. Like, I mean,
yeah,
dispassionately.
yeah. Speaking of Logan Paul, Are you guys gonna come down and watch?
I
the
might
fight?
come down to. I might come down for that. Maybe.
Well, Audrey, you'd have to come right and then come down.
Yeah, that seems like a big commitment for a Logan Paul fight.
It's
Yeah,
not
but
just
it's
for the
not-
Logan
it's not
Paul
just for
fight.
the fight. It's
You
for
guys
the
can
experience and the
FaceTime me.
culture.
It's not just for the Logan Paul fight. It means that there's gonna be a lot of people from the industry all at one place at one time.
Yeah.
America will basically be reopened. We haven't
Yeah.
seen Romina in person in a long time.
Right.
So
It's worth it.
there's a lot of reasons to be there for that. Like there's a lot of reasons to do it.
Yeah.
So it actually makes sense to go down there and do that. Because again, there's a lot of people who are gonna go to that event, because the thing is, regardless of how anyone feels about Logan, this is a big deal for our industry. This is a big deal for the industry. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather and everything like that. And the reality is, regardless of how anyone feels about it, Logan Paul has actually done a lot of good for our industry. He had a couple of problems. He had a few unfortunate series of controversies that I'm not excusing. But in the catalog of his literal entire body of work, it's not that bad. And there are people who have done infinitely worse that actually got a lot less scrutiny, especially in traditional media circles. And we can't pretend that the media gives YouTubers a fair shake anyway. So I actually feel that Logan Paul's fine for the most part. You don't have to like every decision he makes and every content he makes. To be real, I've taken the stance that Marquez takes about how he feels about people. I only am attached to them in the context of the thing that they do. Like Logan Paul is an entertainer. That's what I know him for. He's an entertainer, and I only am invested in and critique the entertainment that he does. Like that's it. What he does outside of his talent is I'm not invested in, and I don't have an opinion about, and I don't really care. You know?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods the golfer. I do not care who he's dating. I do not care what's going on with Tiger Woods. It's Tiger Woods the golfer.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
I feel the same way too. I have it's very easy for me to separate
The art from the artist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Elon Musk.
I've had to
is
learn how to do that because there's a lot of actors that I really enjoy as actors. But
Yeah.
as I've learned,
But
who
not
they
as
are
people. But you don't know them as people, so what's the point? Like, see, that's my entire point. My entire point, just
Right.
like Marquez, is like,
Right.
I don't know them as people. I'm only going to hear about them as people from,
Right.
and I'm not going to have my own experience. My only experience of them that's mine is what I've consumed.
Right.
And so that's the only place that I'm like staying in my lane and like being fair. Being fair is I can't speak to their character because you said this or the headline says that or the media says that. You know, people get things wrong all the time. Central Park 5 just got out. They were told, the whole world was told for 25 years that they were guilty of sin, and it turned out not to be true, and they were exonerated. So I don't really like, so what other people tell you, it doesn't really matter. Your own experiences always are the only thing that you can verify. So my experience of somebody is my experience of them, and it doesn't matter what someone else's experience was. That's their experience. I am not beholden to anyone else's experience of someone, the headlines or anything that they did that isn't my experience of them. I am entitled to retain the experiences that I have had exclusively. I am not obligated to indulge in experiences that I didn't participate in. I'm not obligated to have a stance or an opinion on something that I didn't experience. It's probably actually somewhat wrong for me to be very invested in an experience that doesn't belong to me. It'd be like forgiving someone for something that they didn't even do to me. Like, it's not my place to forgive or not forgive them. You know what I'm
This
saying?
actually brings kind of this actually relates a little bit to what we were talking about earlier. If you were to go to sleep and wake up in about like 25 years, for those 25 years, you are missing from some of your closest friends' experiences and life. How do you feel that would affect your relationship with them? That's assuming that they don't that they don't sleep as well. Like me, we'll both wake up on the same day and be like, "Hey, what's up? Did you have any dreams?"
That's where one of my contingency plans of possibly cheating all of that by having a clone down with my downloaded memories would.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
So your clone is having your experiences for you?
Yes.
In your absence. So
that's
it's gonna
not
be
the
your
same
agent.
as you, though. It's just
It is for
someone that
everyone
looks
else. It is for everyone else.
Yeah, but my question was what about you? I mean, then you're what are you going to do when you wake up? I mean, you're now there's two of you roaming around. And one of them has had memories and experiences for
and
the last
is
25
older
years
and has lived their life, assuming they're still around. And they're older and they've lived their life, assuming they've still lived around. And the thing is, I would have had a plan. The clone of me had my memories right up until the minute that I go into the tank. So the thing is, they, for all intents and purposes, are me and will act accordingly. And the thing is, they will continue the plan that we, as in me, put into place for this. Remember, I told you, I'm so thoughtful about this that I would literally live as much life as possible as me with my family before enacting the grand plan. Then I'm hot swapping a clone, and that clone will literally document for me everything that I would need and put in place, and has created kind of not only a roadmap, but optimized everything for me. I'm literally my own successor. I'm literally my own child in this scenario. You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's all for the benefit of the grand plan. I've thought this through.
Audrey, since you are not going to be asleep, how do you feel about hanging out with Roberto's clone for the next 25 years?
How does clones work? Do they know
Clones are
you
a
know?
duplicate of you, including your memories, at the moment of the cloning.
Well, what happens when you come back?
They will have aged, so they will have lived a life to actually be a different person at that point for me, because they would have had a different lived experience after that point.
But would they take all your stuff?
No, they're working for the benefit of our identity, our collective identity. They're working for the benefit of, like, remember, I'm a person who, think about it, the clone is also me, which means they think like me. We share a vision. They're working toward the grand plan.
I don't know if the world can
me.
handle two Robertos.
Like, this one is working toward the grand plan because they're me. It also means I'll finally have a mentor. I'll finally have a mentor that understands me. I'll finally have a mentor that understands me, because it'll just be an older version of me.
I kind of like that, actually.
It'll be an older version of me. So think about it.
Weird. What if it turns evil and it decides, like, no, I'm the only Roberto?
No, because it's me. It's me. So it won't. It's me. I'm saying that I don't have to worry about what if, because I actually know myself.
But here, all right, no, can I say, all right, listen to this. If your clone,
We are Roberto.
I'm going to blow your mind here for a second. If your clone is legitimately a carbon copy of you and how you think, your clone is going to want to outsource that work and is going to clone themselves to live your experiences while you're gone for the 25 years that you're sleeping. And then he's going to go somewhere else.
No, because the thing is, me
and the cycle's going to keep going, and you're just going to have like 30 Robertos.
You're thinking of multiplicity with Billy Crystal. You're thinking of multiplicity with Billy Crystal. I know you, Romina. So here's the reason that doesn't work here, though. Because I, as you already know, am capable of entertaining more than one thought and more than one line of thought at a time, and also being willing to see it through. I am someone who really could have went on something and say, oh, I could have it either way, but this one actually allows me to have it either way, which means that the version of me that gets to live those experiences means that version of me is choosing the different sacrifice, the sacrifice of not jumping ahead and doing all of that, but it's also offsetting those risks by risking facing the world, but also still getting to experience things with friends and family and live through this process and the greatest process of all time and see it through. So, is Michael Keaton not Billy Crystal? Okay, they look so similar. They could be clones. But the thing is, I'm literally getting to have to experience divergent thought in an actual way and say, I can have, instead of having to wonder about the path not taken, it'll actually just be fulfilled. It'll actually be, hey, you got that experience. I will get to experience the many worlds interpretation of time in an actual way, because the clone will say, okay, I know that I'm going to go through and do the things and live the life that I would have lived without the option of the cryosleep or the, or the vampire thing or whatever it is. And then the other me, and I'm like, all right, the other me gets that. I get this. It is a fair deal because we're both getting to deal with a different path to the grand plan. And so we'll just enact the grand plan. And the thing is, instead of having only one set of variables, we will have had coverage. That's how it would work with me because of who I am. It would be, it's like we are getting to have it both ways, and we don't need a third and fourth option because this this binary is sufficient enough, because the thing is, if we go any further, there are too many things outside of our control for us to be anxious about. So this is enough of our control, and this is enough of our FOMO, so we're good here.
See, I wouldn't go that far. I guess I'm different in that regard because I'm a little bit colder when it comes to relationships, and just like I would on like the day of me entering the chamber, I would just be like, all right, guys, I'm doing this. Peace out. Bye. And then just
it's not completely altruistic, because I told you there are other benefits. For one thing, the me on the outside can actually ensure the protection and safety and care of the me. Yeah. And also make sure that happens. If not them themselves, then making sure the contingencies go through. So it's another control. It's another control mechanism. It's another control mechanism.
No, and that actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would probably do that just for that.
Yeah.
Just for that.
And our last failsafe is our digital consciousness being backed up, because that's our last failsafe because of everything else. So this is this is our maximum level of security and redundancy, which kind of goes to even the way I handle my my files now. Remember I said it has to exist in 3 places or it doesn't exist?
Right.
So it's so this is literally the way I do it.
Yeah.
Like 2 physical backups that are independent,
right,
and one in the cloud.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the way to do it then.
Actual redundancy, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Audrey, would you clone yourself?
Well, since I'm not time traveling, it would just exist.
You would just exist together in the same plane of existence. No?
I don't know. I don't see the purpose of doing it.
I would, and then I would hire her as my assistant.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's appealing.
Partner.
It's like I just make them work and help me do things.
They'd work with you.
Isn't that just slavery?
No, because again, if you treat them as an equal, it's
if
you.
You're paying
it's you.
Them, that's not slavery.
But it's also you. Again, it's a matter of you working toward the grand plan and saying
I
it's
don't
we.
Need another me.
I would do it. Because again, I'm also not even. I wouldn't even be competing with the other me. It'd be like, we are working toward the vision. We're working toward the grand plan. Like, we got this. We are Roberto. Like, that would be.
People like the other Audrey more than they like me.
Well,
what if the other Audrey? What if the other Audrey decides to go on a tangent and turn into a whole other? That's my thing. I feel like the clone me would have a rebellious phase and turn into a whole new person, and then I'd just be sitting here like, cool, that's not me.
The thing is,
that's a different version of me.
As long as it's a perfect clone, that doesn't happen, unless that's what you would actually do. The reason I'm comfortable with cloning and future me and AI me is because I actually know myself and I know what I would do.
Right.
I guess I don't know what I would do.
But that's
like
fine because
I
you're
would have-
super young. You're not supposed to. You're like, I mean, in theory, it'd be great if you have more self-awareness than you give yourself credit for, by the way. But you haven't.
But I wouldn't put it past me to like have an existential crisis as a clone and like go through a whole rebellious phase. And I don't know. I can see it happening.
Sure. I mean, you
If the
can't.
clone got annoyed.
Right. Unless there was some kind of, they were genetically modified
Mm.
to only serve. Then in that case, it would be some
To
kind of
only
slavery.
serve?
If it was,
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That sounds like a human rights violation.
I mean, there was Did you know the movie Never Let Me Go?
Mm.
All right, there's a movie called Never Let Me Go, which is also a book.
I think I
And-
have seen this. Go on.
They're essentially clones, but it's their only purpose, the only purpose that they have is to be organ donors for their originals. And so as they get older, if their original requires like a bunch of organ transplants
See, that sounds
or like
a
blood
recipe for
transfusions, like
disaster.
they keep just using them until they milk them dry.
Oh, they just use them
Right.
for spare parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the thing is, that would be more like
It's
what?
actually a very depressing movie, but
Yeah. So what in Star Wars in the expanded universe, Palpatine kept burning through clone bodies because the clones weren't perfect. Number one, and then two, his dark side energy was too. The clones didn't grow with his dark side energy their whole life like he did. So like they weren't vessels that could contain his actual unlimited power. So he kept kind of burning out the bodies because they never got to acclimate to that kind of power like naturally like he did, you know, because he lived to be like 100. So like before Luke killed him. So like there was, well, Vader killed him, but like the Anakin Skywalker killed him. But I digress. The point is the Emperor kind of like kept like using clones like, you know, disposable skin suits and just kept burning through them in the Dark Empire series in Star Wars comics and novels before Disney bought it. So like that was like a whole thing. It's similar to the story you were telling about Never Let Me Go, where it's like you know, just using them in a disposable fashion. The difference is the clones in Palpatine's case didn't have like a consciousness.
right.
They literally were just empty vessels that he
Right.
just kept burning through.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
His plan was to
But see, what if you do genetically modify your clone to not have a consciousness, or
to just
remove-
be
So
so
they
you could
just
just
be
shell.
Kyroslept
so you could just
forever?
download your consciousness into it?
right? Yeah,
Well, then that's not a, if it doesn't have a consciousness, it's not an ethical problem. If it doesn't have a consciousness at that point, it's not literally a person. It's a biological organism. It's not sentient. It's not sentient. If it's not sentient, there's no ethical quandary. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
This feels like
Optimus Prime didn't say jack about non-sentient beings. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Optimus Prime didn't say jack about non-sentient beings. They are up for grabs as skin suits.
So what would it do? Just like live in this lab with a bunch of other skin suits just growing?
In a tank.
yeah. Depending on what their purpose is.
Yeah. It's in a human tank instead of a fish tank.
See, Audrey doesn't like the idea of like a naked herd just like floating around in like
Just floating in a
some
tube.
green fluid. Yeah,
A pickle
That sounds like
wreck.
the Matrix or something.
It
and some,
basically is.
yeah. Essentially,
It basically is with that, which is why I never understood. I never understood why the Matrix bothered making humans. If it wanted to use humans as batteries, if it wanted to use humans as batteries, it could have literally just had vegetated humans that don't have a consciousness. It doesn't need to have them play out a fantasy in a virtual reality video game. It doesn't need a simulation. It doesn't need a simulation. And even if it did, why would it put them in the era of the 90s? Why wouldn't it literally just make them as uneducated as possible? Why wouldn't it just put them in the caveman era and make them as uneducated as possible? Or to put them into some where they never develop technology and they never really have any awakening and they can't be hackers?
Oh wait, I mean, hold on.
Were you trying to pretend you were glitching the simulation, Romina?
No, Audrey is over here playing with the displays where I'm trying to tell people to leave us a review.
Oh. Speaking of which, we should get going here soon so we can go to Viper.
let's start wrapping up, guys.
What?
Well, in a positive note, if you guys listening out there are gonna freeze yourself or go to sleep for the next 100 years or something like that, well, 25 years, Roberto and myself will be there. So if you want to say hi,
I won't.
I mean, you'll be there, but you'll be there. You're gonna be an old lady. You're gonna be old.
She won't be that old. She'll be middle aged.
40s.
Yeah, she'll be in her prime. She'll be fine.
Be ancient.
Wow.
No, you won't. The 40s ain't ancient. Don't be talking about us.
Wow, did you just?
Look, Michelle Pfeiffer is still crushing
it.
Look at Halle Berry. Look at Michelle Pfeiffer. Look at Elon and Jeff. Every one of them's like in their 50s, and they still look like they living their best life.
The level of disrespect.
I just enjoy roasting you guys when I get the chance.
Oh, so you're just a bully.
What? No.
Well, I was trying to end the podcast on a positive note. I was just letting our listeners know that if they do decide to go to sleep forever, Roberto and I will be there. So you know that the future is going to be lit.
Mm-hmm. We will preserve the future.
Debatable? Just think about Roberto and me in our 30s 25 years from now.
With all of that money, power, technology at our
I'll be
disposal.
older than you guys. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're going to be older. Right. Who's ancient now? Who's ancient now?
Hasn't happened yet, Romina.
Oh, it's happened, Audrey. You said it, it's happened.
What if it has happened? You guys are actually clones this whole time. I figured it out.
Never go.
I disappear. Well, you guys know why.
Wow. Incredible. All right. Roberto, can you take us out?
I'm good. Okay. Thank you for listening to the No Something Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing but plotting, world domination, and how to live forever. Stay tuned for next week's episode where we have a thrilling and rousing discussion as we try to unravel which one of us is the biggest sociopath of all. Hint, it will most likely be one of your trio of hosts. My money is on Audrey, Replica Killer Ember. But in the meantime, it could also be RedRomina, for all I know. But this has been your Dark Lord of the Interwebs, Roberto Blake, inviting you to give us a review in Apple Podcast if we've entertained you, surprised, and delighted you in any way. Feel free to join us next week at 7 p.m. for another episode. Follow us on Twitter and all the other places at No Assembly Pod, and we will see you all next time. Nop!